Hey there, welcome back, or if you're new to my channel, my name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living, and I was wanting to do a little mini series here for Valentine's Day. I know with the prices of things, it's harder and harder to be able to go out on special occasions, and sometimes people just don't even want to go out. They want to cook for their loved ones, and so I was going to make a couple of videos here. We're going to do tonight we're going to do one dinner. We're going to do two different videos. It'll be this tonight, and then next Thursday we'll do, or Thursday morning it'll come out. We're making it at nighttime because it's not going to be our dinner tonight. But anyway, a dinner tonight, and then next Thursday will be another video of another dinner. And then we're also going to be doing two on this Monday coming up, and then the next Monday following, two different dessert suggestion ideas for Valentine's Day. So tonight we're going to be making chicken Parmesan. There's some shortcuts you can do, and I'll kind of say those along the way that you can make for chicken Parmesan, because I make this not way often, maybe every couple of months, but I don't always make it this this way where I'm making everything from scratch. There are some few shortcuts that we're going to make along the way. But first, what we're going to get started with is a Dutch oven bread. You can always just get any kind of French bread and turn it into garlic bread, or whatever you want to make as a bread side. But I'm going to show you this Dutch oven bread that you can make. It's very easy if you have a cast iron Dutch oven, or I'm not sure if you can do it in a stainless steel pot. I would not preheat the stainless steel pot if you were going to try it in a stainless steel pot. But anyway, we're going to do this. It's very easy, and it's pretty impressive if you are talented enough to score designs into your Dutch oven bread. I haven't gotten that fancy with it yet, but we are going to add some roasted garlic into our Dutch oven bread, and also some rosemary, and just to make it a little bit more special. To roast garlic, I've already pre-roasted mine, and so how you would do that is you would take your head of garlic and you would cut off the top of it, drizzle it with some olive oil, sprinkle some salt on it, wrap it in foil, and roast it in the oven on 400 for 30-45 minutes until every head of garlic is different, the sizes of the cloves and how long it's going to take for it to soften. But that's what you're going to want to do, is you're going to want to soften those garlic cloves if you're going to put the garlic in your Dutch oven bread. So what we're going to do is go ahead and move to the mixer and get this going so it can rise while we start working on our chicken. So in my mixture, I have 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. I am going to be putting 2.5 teaspoons of yeast in here. I am using active dry yeast, so 2.5 teaspoons. And then we're going to be adding 1.5 cups of warm water. This is just warm tap water. And we're just going to let this sit here and bloom. We want it to sit probably about 10 minutes. It'll start getting foamy, and that's gonna that means the sugar is activating the yeast, and that sugar is feeding it, so it'll start blooming. So we will let this rest. All right, so our yeast is nice and bubbly, if you can see that. And now we're going to add 3¼ cups of all-purpose flour to this. This is called a no-knead bread. I mean, of course, we're going to knead it in the with the dough hook, but it's not like a typical bread that you're going to knead for a long period of time. So we're just going to dump all this right here in our bowl. Next, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It's 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm gonna do 2 of these. Now I'm gonna add some crushed rosemary. You could use fresh rosemary, but I prefer the taste of the dried over the fresh. I feel like the fresh kind of has like I hate to say this, a pine solly taste to it. Anyway, I'm just gonna crush this even more between my hands. This is about 1/2 teaspoon, and we'll see what this looks like. We'll get this on here with our dough hook. stop it and scrape the sides down. Now here in Louisiana, we are pretty humid, so sometimes I have to end up adding more flour than the recipe calls for, so I do have some extra flour over here on the side. All right, it's looking a little sticky to the bowl, so I am gonna add a little bit more flour to this. We're just gonna add a little bit at a time. You want to just start pulling away. I am recording. All right, so at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be adding some of these garlic cloves. I do roast a bunch of garlic ahead of time, and I store it in a jar covered in oil. If you cover it with oil, it will stay good, I guess. I don't know what the correct word is. It won't go bad, or it shouldn't go bad. All right, I'm just gonna fold these in. I didn't want to really mash them up with the mixer. So I'm just gonna fold these in. Actually, I might sprinkle this flour on my counter and do it on the counter. You could put cheese in here. You could always do like a jalapeno cheddar one. That's a really good combination to do in the bread. But this is when you would mix in your mix-ins, kind of like when you go get the ice cream with the mix-ins, right? All right, so we're just gonna kind of mix all this in here. Tuck them in if you find them coming out. All right, now we want to kind of tuck and tuck and tuck and form a ball. When you do all this and you pull it tight and make the surface tension tight on top, it kind of makes all the gluten strands come together correctly. And what we're gonna do, we're just gonna use our same bowl here. I'm gonna drizzle some oil just so it doesn't stick. Put a little bit on the top here so it doesn't dry out. We're gonna lay this in here. We're gonna put a towel over this, and we are gonna let it sit until it's doubled in size. It takes about 45 minutes, depending on how warm your kitchen is. All right, so our next step while our bread is rising is we're gonna go ahead and get our chicken coated. And what I would say is a shortcut on this is you can always in the freezer section buy already breaded chicken tenders. They're kind of big, like about this big. You can either get them, sometimes they're just breaded and they're raw and you have to cook them. Sometimes they're already cooked, like the Tyson brand, they're already cooked. So what I'm gonna do, and of course you're gonna just need however many you need for your family. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna make these more like a cutlet style, because chicken breasts come so big these days. Look how big this is. We're really looking into what we're going to do to grow and harvest our own chickens. That's going to be fun. More work, but happy about the product. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this chicken in half this way. And then we're going to take a piece of parchment paper. I'm gonna use the smooth side of my mallet and see if that'll work so I don't tear this chicken up. And we're just gonna kind of pound this out thinner. Maybe on the counter so we're not making everything bounce. All right, well, didn't get that much thinner. And this one is about that same thickness. We want our chicken, I didn't really cut it very even. So we won't pound that one out. Let's see if I can cut this one a little better. All right. That one's better. I think these are all about the same thickness, so we'll just leave them like they are. And I will freeze the rest of this chicken and use it another time, because this is all we need. All right, I've washed my hands. I'm gonna move my chicken down, and we'll get our dredging stations set up. We're gonna start with 3 eggs, and then that'll leave us some in case we need to add more, but not waste any either. All right, move this out of the way. Wash my hands again. And then same thing with our breadcrumbs. Now you can buy breadcrumbs already done, but I had some extra French bread, and so I just dried it out in the oven on 300 degrees and then ran it through the food processor. I'm gonna add half of this to here. In case I need more, I have more, but that way I don't contaminate it all if we don't need it all. And then to this, we are gonna be adding some oregano, some basil, some Parmesan cheese. This is freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Now I'm gonna add some salt to our flour all the way down the line. Where'd it go? Now if you see specks in my salt, I'm using Redmond Real salt. If you haven't seen it, it does have a lot of minerals in this. It's like pink Himalayan salt, but it's mined here in the United States. Add a little salt to our little eggs here. And then to our breadcrumbs. All right. Give our eggs a whisk here. Amazing orange yolks there. Not oaks, yolks. All right. So we have our dredging station. Mix the flour up here with the salt. We're gonna flour, egg, and then breadcrumb. And then we're gonna put on the sheet pan that's on it has a cooling rack on it so they don't get soggy. I kind of let them air dry for about 10 minutes, kind of form a crust. All right, we'll get dredging. This one is so big. All right, I'll get all these done and then we will start cooking them. All right, so now we are going to sear our chicken in here, and we'll finish cooking in the oven where you're just trying to get a good crusty brown crust to the chicken. So I have my cast iron heating up right here. And I think I need to refill this olive oil. Let me grab some more. Now we want to make sure we don't burn the crust. We just want to get it nice and toasty. So we're going to lay these in here. And it looks like it wasn't quite hot enough. It's starting to bubble over here. All right, I think now we're hot enough. So don't crowd your pan because you don't want them to steam. You want them to get crispy. And then over here in my pot, I have my water heating up to boil the pasta with. We will be using, so you can use homemade sauce. I canned some spaghetti sauce. If you want to watch that video on how to make your own spaghetti sauce, I can link that. You can use jarred sauce, just, you know, whatever conveniences you need to be able to put this yummy dinner on the table for your loved ones. We're going to go ahead and give these a flip. All right, so now we're going to get our chicken Parmesan ready to go in our baking dish. So what I'm going to do is lay our chicken in our baking dish. I think I'm just going to do, we only need 3 of these. I think I'm only going to do 3 and save this last one since it doesn't really fit my dish as a leftover, instead of getting out a bigger dish and dirtying it. So I have my spaghetti sauce here. All I'm going to do is get a spoon. I'm just going to spoon a little bit. I don't want these swimming in the sauce because I don't want them to not stay crispy. All right, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of our freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And then we are going to sprinkle on some freshly grated mozzarella cheese. Now I love the crispy, crunchy cheese on top of this. I feel like it flavors the sauce a lot. So I like to put a lot of cheese. Alright, so here's our baking dish. And in the process, I put my Dutch oven in the oven on 450 to preheat so that we can get that going. We'll put the this in the oven at the same time as we put our bread in the oven, and we'll get the bread ready next. Alright, I did have to correct myself. I had just put the dough back in here, and so what I did off camera was I pulled the dough out, set it on a piece of parchment paper, and then set it in here to rise. And now what we're going to do, the next step, is to sprinkle a little bit of flour over the top, not too much, and just kind of rub it around. A little bit more on this side. I can smell the garlic. All right, and then they have fancy razor things to score bread with. You can use a super sharp, thin pointed knife, but I just have this little razor blade, and I'm just going to put an X in here, just across the middle both ways like that. But if you got fancy, you could do like a leaf pattern. That's a pretty common one to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull our Dutch oven out of the oven. It is preheated along with the oven. This is going to be hot, so be careful when you set it down. Then you're going to lift your parchment paper with your bread out of your bowl and set this in your Dutch oven like this with your hot pads. You're going to put your lid back on. Now we're going to put this in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. Then you can remove the lid if it's not dark enough and bake it for 5 more minutes to your desired darkness. All right, so we're gonna get this in the oven. When this is about about 15 minutes from being done, I'm gonna slip the chicken in the oven also. All right, we're about to pull the chicken out of the oven. It's gonna be super hot. We're gonna let that cool for a little bit. I'm gonna check the bread to see if we need to remove the lid. Ooh. I don't think so. I think we're good. Set this right here. And we'll show you the bread. Look at that. Doesn't that look yummy? So we'll pull the bread out and put it on this cutting board. The parchment paper shouldn't be too hot. I'll move this over. All right, I'm gonna set this Dutch oven back in the oven to get it out of the way since it's so hot. I don't want anybody to accidentally touch it. So I cooked up some angel hair pasta. Put a little sauce on it to loosen it up. I heated up some extra sauce here for our pasta. Threw a little bit of mozzarella cheese in it. Put a little bit on here just to loosen it up. So I found a pretty plate, kind of pink for the Valentine's Day. You can use whatever plates you want. All right. Get a little bit of noodles here. I'll get a ladle for this sauce. Alright, I found the smallest one for me. It's this one over here. kind of lay that off to the side. Don't lose your crunchy, cheesy, yummy goodness. Just lay that over my pasta. All right, we're gonna go finish fixing our plate. All right, so here we have our Caesar salad to go alongside. I've made this for you before. It's just some romaine lettuce. I did cut up some cucumber that I had tonight. I roast or toast some almonds that are seasoned with, they're coated in butter, then use my Cajun seasoning on them, and just some Parmesan cheese, freshly grated. And this is our favorite Caesar dressing. Just gonna dress this up. All right, I'm gonna put some of this on my plate. I'm gonna get my bread knife and we're gonna cut into this bread. All right, I'm gonna slip it off the parchment paper. Look at the amazing texture. It's got a crunchy outside, but it's soft inside. See if I can get to one of those garlic cloves. Ooh, there it is. All right. Ooh, that is hot. Put my softened butter on a pretty plate here. Butter the bread. And then we are gonna try this together. Almost looks like it came from a restaurant. All right, let's get a taste test. I'm trying to get a little bit of the noodles here. I should have cut those too. The cheese is so good. The chicken's flavorful with all those seasonings. Let's get a bite of this bread. Here we go. The garlic is right here. I love rosemary and bread. And this garlic in here. If you never tried doing that, I would highly suggest it. You can do some special things like a little tablescape. You can get some flowers, candles, dress it up as much as you want, dress it down, be casual. Just to show those that you love them. And if you can't go out to eat, you can always cook for them. So I hope you give this recipe a try, and we'll see you the next time. We'll be doing a dessert. I don't know if you've kind of seen it popping around on the counter, cooling off. That will be our first dessert, which we'll show on Monday. So hopefully we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.